I don't know about you, but when words get stuck in my head, or when I say words, it's lyrics. And a song this morning, while I was spending a little bit of alone time, was, if you said it, I believe it. And I was listening to it and I was into it and I was praising. It was Maverick City. If you said it, I believe it, because you're a man of your word. And it was talking about God. And I was singing it. And then I was like, man, sometimes I don't believe it. Sometimes God says it to me and I don't believe it right off the bat. Or sometimes, halfway through the process, I start to question. I start to step away. And it was as if the lyrics were just saying, it's just that simple. If I said it, then like if you said it, I believe it. But I think the part of it is, if you said it, I should believe it. Now the should part, that's a part that I struggle with a bit. And, so as I was looking at it, I was like, oh man. And then it was great because Proverbs 1 today, it was all about resetting and refreshing and then restarting. And, I was with my son last night. It was Halloween, and we got done with Halloween. It was an eventful night. We had so much fun. Our neighborhood is phenomenal. My daughter went to a party. She's 15. She was dressed up. She didn't look 15 at all, so it's kind of scared me when she left. She was with her girls, though. She had a really great time, and then we got done, and I was snuggling with Maddox, and we were watching a little bit of YouTube, and he kind of snuggled up. He grabbed me, and he was like, Daddy, I want to go trick-or-treating with you next year. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing in the whole entire world. My son is 13 years old. And I'm thinking probably at 14, he's not going to remember that statement. He's probably not going to want to trick-or-treat with me. But it helped me to realize that all the things that I want, that I desire, because I have the tendency, and I don't know about you guys, but I have the tendency to not focus on all the things that I have. I focus on all the things that I want and maybe the things that I lack. And at that moment, it helped me to realize that the greatest blessings and the most valuable things that I ever have in my life or will ever have are literally right in front of me. And at that point, it was right in front of me, the desire from my son at 13 years old to want to just hang out with me. It just almost made the world stand still. It made time stop and helped me to realize that the greatest and most valuable blessings are literally hiding in plain sight. And when we start looking for them, they start to pop up. And it went right into Proverbs 1 because it reminds us to reset, refresh, and restart our month with a foundation of perfect love. And this perfect love and grace that God is showing us in Proverbs 1 is absolutely incredible. And it reminds us that starting off the month right now on the 1st is time to reset, to refresh, and to restart. And he always gives us that option. So why don't we get this party started?
Nothing more on my mind. I got to shine, so every day I grind. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain, we put the work in. We ain't stopped just because it's hurting. Right before your eyes, so it's coming to no surprise. The takeover is televised. Over and over and over again. Make no mistake, we continue to win. Defeat never know, cause I will not lose. They wanna mimic my moves, but can't walk in my shoes.
Reset, refresh, and restart. This is the thing that I like when I'm playing golf. I am that guy in golf. I'm actually a good golf partner. The reason why, because I make you feel good about your golf game, no matter how bad you are. You're going to think that you're the Tiger Woods. You're going to think that you're the greatest golfer in the world if you golf with me. Because my swing makes Charles Barkley. It makes Charles Barkley look like Tiger Woods. And I know he has fixed his swing, and at some point he'll be on the podcast, Charles Barkley. So I love you. I'll be reaching out to you at some point. You're the show in NBA, Inside the NBA, greatest show on the planet, my favorite show. And to have him, Shaq, Ernie, Kenny, and Charles, I'll have him on the show at some point. That would be the most amazing thing in the world. So, and they're already not my friends. So what's the worst that could happen when I reach out to them? But this reset, refresh, and restart thing, I wish I had it again in golf a lot, because I swing, miss the ball, and I would like to do a mulligan. We have this opportunity. This is the cool thing, is we have this opportunity every single month. We have it every single day, every single moment. God calls us to this, and he just wants us to accept his love, accept his grace. And as that happens, what's amazing is literally at that instant is when we're able to restart. But he wants us to reset, just reset our mindset, reset where our heart is, reset all those things. And then he wants to refresh us with his love, with his grace. And then we can restart again fresh. And that's what we get to do on the first of every single month. And when we go the corresponding proverb, corresponding day. And so, as I sat down to read this morning, I was a little bit blocked. I could tell you that right off the bat. I was a little bit foggy. It's been dark when I wake up, and I had to walk around the block, and I was doing arm circles trying to get myself in motion a little bit. And then I got distracted with some emails and all those things. But as I was going through, what God asked me to do is just write for a bit. So just write 3 pages, just dump your mind. And as I started to write about some of the things that, that story with Maddox. I mean, the little tiny things. Yes, I want, different speaking engagements. Yes, I want the podcast to grow. Yes, I want the audience to be enriched and all these things. But God was saying, why don't you just take stock in the things that I've already blessed you with? Your family's healthy. Your wife loves you. Your wife is beautiful. Your kids are incredible human beings. You have a phenomenal business. The convenience of where you live to where your studio is. Why don't you appreciate all the people who listen to the podcast now? These kind of things, setting myself into and realizing, and focusing on all the things that are in my life that I'm grateful for, as opposed to the things that it's good to aspire, but not focusing on that part of it, just loving what's happening right now. And I just got a call from my buddy Kevin right before I started recording. And he called me, he said, "Hey man, I was thinking about you." He's in my men's group. He said, "I was thinking about you and I'd like to pray for you. What do you want prayer for?" My buddy Roy Tuscany reached out to me this morning and said, "Hey man, I listened to the podcast." And he said, he just gave me some encouragement today. And Roy Tuscany is the founder of the High Fives Foundation, and he's helping people all over the world with spinal cord injuries to be able to experience extreme sports. This guy is incredible. He doesn't have to call me, but I'm so blessed because I have so many friends. Greg Reed, one of the number one thought leaders, reached out to me this morning. I get to play pool with him right after the episode. So all these things are incredible. And what God was saying is just focus on those, man. Focus on all these amazing things. And so as we run down in Proverbs 1 through 6, there were some questions that I had, right? So God, what is all this for, right? Reading the corresponding proverb, corresponding day. My buddy Roy Tuscany said Inchstones reminds him of Kaizen. And I said, yeah, it's a series of small improvements, or never walk past poor quality. And when you take a series of small improvements, Inchstones, if you will, and you pile them up, they become the milestones that most of us are looking for, right? And so I asked God this morning, what is it for? And he answered in verse 1 through 6, and he said it's for wisdom, instruction, insight, prudence, discretion, guidance, understanding, and wisdom. And it was almost like he was playing with me this morning. And, so hear him again: wisdom, instruction, insight, prudence, discretion, guidance, understanding, and did I mention wisdom? He bookended all those things with wisdom. And then I was like, what is it for though? Or who is it for? And he just answered this in verse 1 through 6. Again, he said, everyone at any stage. Who is this wisdom for? Who is your love for? Who is your grace for? He said, everyone at any stage, no matter what stage you're at. If you are in the beginning stage and you're just about to restart, if you're in the middle and you're in the messy middle, or if you're at the place where you think that you're at the end, oh, I've done so much, I've done so many silly things that there's a point of no return. And he's saying, my wisdom is for anyone. My wisdom, my love, and my grace is for anyone at any stage. And what you can do is just take a breath. Set back, reset, check it all out, filter the garbage. As you reset it and put things back where they need to be, put your mind back where it needs to be, where it was designed to be, put your body back there, put your soul back there. What God is saying is, I'm going to refresh you, and then you could just restart. And there's no point of no return. Right? There's no point where you can't return from. That's what he was saying. And so my next question is, how can I get some of that? Like, how can I get some of the things that he's talking about? And he went through it in verse 7. And in verse 7, he just said, like, fear me, meaning respect me. Respect me, spend time with me, see that my words, my actions are in line. Then you'll start to respect me. And guess what? I'll just give you all those things. I'll give you my love. I'll give you my grace. I don't need you to do anything. I don't need your help. That's what my pastors say all the time. God doesn't need your help. He's strong enough. He's big enough. He just needs your attention, because once he has your attention, then he can start to bless, because he knows when he starts to bless you, then you'll turn around and the story will be about him and not about you. That's the hardest thing in the world, because I want to beat my chest and be like, yo, it was because of me. It ain't at all. It's because of him. And so the next question that I had for him is, what should I do when I get it? Like, with this wisdom, with this love, with this grace, what should I do when I get it? Like, when it comes to me? And what God said in verse 8 and 9 is, just listen to it first. Like, listen, like truly, truly listen, and then apply it. And I was thinking, like, it's just that simple. Just listen to it and apply it. But then it went back to what my buddy Greg Reed said, one of the number one thought leaders in the world. He's my partner in Secret Knock, the number one networking conference in the world that you can't go to unless you're invited. And there's two guys who have the invitation. It's myself and Greg. And what Greg said to me is, this is the way to be able to get any mentor that you ever want in your entire life. Anybody. You have access to anybody. And it's just very simple. Number one, ask them specific questions. Number two, put a ridiculous time frame on it, meaning like 2 minutes and 20 seconds or 27 seconds, whatever it is. I have one question. It'll take 1 minute and 12 seconds. Listen to it, apply it, and then bring them back the results. And if you do those 5 things, it's curtains. Like, people will start asking you if they can mentor you, because you're the one that brings them back the results. And you have to listen. You have to apply. You have to ask specific questions. It has to be in a very weird time frame. So that's a little side note for you. Then I asked here is, what should I watch out for? Like, when I'm going through this process, it can't just be all roses. Like, I listen to it, apply it, and then I'm on the yellow brick road and nothing comes. He said, no. In verse 10 through 16, he said, watch out for boneheads. Watch out for boneheads, because bonehead people do boneheaded things and end up with boneheaded results. So watch out for boneheads. Like, what should I watch out for, God? Like, watch out for boneheads. You could see them from a mile away, especially if you're studying wisdom. If you're studying wisdom, you can see foolishness from a mile away. But if you try and study foolishness, you won't always see wisdom, right? So flip it around that way. And this was just a statement that he said to me, is in verse 17 through 19, knuckleheads do silly things, so don't be silly. I heard my mom in this, like, knuckleheads do silly things. Like, that's what knuckleheads do. That's what they're built for. Don't be mad at a knucklehead because they do silly things. And then my mom would always say, just don't be silly. If I don't want to be silly, and silliness comes from knuckleheads, then I won't hang out with knuckleheads. How can I see a knucklehead? Well, I study wisdom, and I study people who do the right thing. My buddy Gary Spellman, phenomenal human being. I've talked about him in the past. My brother Rob, my best friend Will, my best friend Dave, Dale, Andy, Alfred. These guys are incredible human beings. My wife, Brooklyn, Roy Tuscany, Greg Reed, James Dixon, all these people that I have around me, Coach Keith Hale, Baron Baptiste, Janae Thompson. All these people are amazing human beings. So if I am constantly around them, most likely silliness ain't going to happen. Now, it doesn't mean that people are perfect, but I could tell you this. In the event that you hang out with knuckleheads, then you'll most likely see them do silly things. And then just don't be silly. I asked the question here and it was answered in verse 20 and 21. How can I hear the call? How can I hear the call of wisdom, love, and grace? How can I hear this call? Like, where is it at? And he answered in 20 and 21. He said, it's loud, it's at every gate, and it's prevalent. It's hiding in plain sight. And when you start looking for it, you will see it. And then it was almost like a mic drop moment. And I sat in. I was like, wait a second. It can't be that easy. Because if it was that easy, then everybody would follow it. And he was saying, like, it's there, it's available. But most of the time, it's in plain sight because most of the time, we're not looking for the non-shiny thing. It's right there. Just like when all the things that I want in my life. Time stopped when Maddox said, Dad, I want to go trick-or-treating with you next year. Now, it was just a statement, the thought and the heart and all those things. And maybe, maybe at 14, he won't want to do it. But I tell you, it just stopped at that moment. And I started to say, man, what if I didn't have all the things that I think that I want in business or in my life and all these things, but I had that moment? Would it be worth it? Absolutely, 100%. I'd trade it for anything. If you hang out with knuckleheads, silly things happen. When you choose silly seeds, you will have a knucklehead harvest. In verse 22 through 27, I almost feel like my mom is talking to me through this. Because this is the way my mom would talk. She would talk about knuckleheads. She would talk about being silly. And if you hang with knuckleheads, silly things will happen. When you choose silly seeds, you will have a knucklehead harvest. Verse 22 through 27. Mama, I love you. You're with me today. It's Friday, and I know Friday was always your favorite day in the world. You were saying TGIF, and I hear you loud and clear. And then in verse 28, I asked this question, or 28 through 32, I asked this question. What happens if I don't listen to the call? I asked God, like, okay, all right, I hear this stuff. I hear the features and benefits of it. I hear the pitfalls of folly, right? I hear like wisdom's call and grace and love and all this stuff. But still being a bonehead, I'm like, so what happens if I don't listen to the call? And he just answered it emphatically. You already know. You already know. And he just had me sit in it for a second. And so as I'm sitting in it, I was thinking, I actually do know. Because when I hang out with knuckleheads, they do silly things, and then silly things happen. If I plant silly seeds, I get a knucklehead harvest. What else do I need to tell you? That's what he was saying to me this morning. And then in verse 33, as we finish up, is at the point, at this point, am I a lost cause? And this is a question that I think a lot of us get to. And I've had this with friends who have battled with addiction, things like this. And they have said, even this young man who is amazing. And if you're listening, Tavin, I want to tell you, you're an incredible kid. You got a great future ahead of you. You're, I think, 17 or 18 years old, whatever it is. And you're an incredible, incredible human being, but you need to have as much encouragement as possible. And at 17, 18 years old, there is no lost cause as 17 or 18 years old. You have so much of a bright future, and God wants you right now. He wants to grab a hold of you right now, and he wants to have you like start to follow him. But he wants you. He wants your attention. And I asked this question at this point, or at what point am I a lost cause? And it was emphatic in verse 33. Never. Just start listening to wisdom and stop hanging out with knuckleheads. And I want to say that to Tavin. At what point, Tavin, would you be a lost cause? And God is saying to you today, never. Just start listening to wisdom and stop hanging out with knuckleheads. And sometimes that knucklehead is the thing that's up here between our ears because we've listened to people tell us lies about who we are. Right? And so as we finish up, it was all that we could ever desire. I learned this from Maddox and that experience. All that we can ever desire is right in front of us. Proverbs 1 gives us the advantages of wisdom, the pitfalls of knuckleheads. It shares how wisdom calls out, gives us wisdom's warning, and delivers the ultimate get-out-of-jail free card. This is a microcosm of what we will experience throughout our month. So today, he invites you to reset, refresh, and restart in his overwhelming love and grace. And I believe that God gives us this on the 1st of November and the 1st of October and the 1st of June. And he does this every single month because he wants us to reset, refresh in his love and his grace and his wisdom and restart because he knows that we, for the next 28 days or 29 days or 30 days in the month, are going to do things that are absolutely silly. We're going to hang out with knuckleheads. We're going to plant knucklehead seeds. We're going to get silly harvest. We're going to do this. And then he says, let's reset it again because I want you to know of my love. And he will never, ever, ever give up on us because we are never a lost cause. So hopefully you had a phenomenal day and you guys have an incredible day, November 1st. I love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to Inchstones. Make sure you check out the book, The Vibe, and also that you check out the High Fives Foundation. That's Roy Tuscany. This guy is absolutely phenomenal. The Vibe Room is coming November 9th, and I would love to see you there. Like, subscribe, comment, do all the things that you know you need to do. My name is Kelly Cardenas, and I'm officially off the hot seat. Peace, love, and soul.
Nothing more on my mind. I got to shine, so every day I grind. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain, we put the work in. We ain't stopped just because it's hurting. Right before your eyes, so it's coming to no surprise. The takeover is televised. Over and over and over again. Make no mistake, we continue to win. Defeat never known, cause I will not lose. They wanna mimic my moves, but can't walk in